All right, here we go. Let's get Callan Max Sports in. He says, "Hey Lee, other than March Madness and the Super Bowl, what's the next best sporting event you watch every year?"
I like everything. So I mean, that's a stupid answer from a stupid talk show host. Uh, I like the opening of March Madness. I just think that's electric because that's where all the upsets are. In schools you never see, players you only heard about, coaches that become something special. I like the first weekend of March Madness. NFL playoffs, but see, John and I we're junkies. We get excited about opening day in the National Football League as well as week 11, plus what happens in postseason play. Unless you've been in hockey and covered the Stanley Cup or broadcast hockey, you don't understand the Stanley Cup is the toughest trophy to get because they're all best of 7 series. And there's no place for the timid when it comes to Stanley Cup. I would say those three are the neatest. I think historically, I used to love the bowl games. I mean, here's a kid who grew up on eastern Long Island in the snow and watched the palm trees and the sunset at the Rose Bowl. That was always special to me. But that mystique, unfortunately, has all gone away.
Mm. Yeah, this is interesting to think this one through. In my head, I mean, I had Stanley Cup for sure, but the World Cup, I think, has got to be on that list, even though it's at once every 4 years.
And soccer's really become a global game with a big attention span now here in the United States.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, by the same token, I think you could put the Olympics in that category as well. And then the other thing that I really enjoyed last year was watching the festivities of the pregame of the Indy 500 and all the pageantry there. And it's just so Indiana, and how they make that a special event. And I think there's a lot of events like that, whether it's the Masters or the Kentucky Derby, that has all that pageantry that is really special.
Yeah, very much so. Good question. Go ahead.
Okay, let's go here to Michael. And he says, "Hey, the NCAA basketball tournament, the best reality show ever on television, is starting this week."
Michael, here's the question. The games are spread out over 26 stations. How do you view all the games at once? Do you do 26 boxes on your TV? How do you do that?
Well, I'll tell you what, on YouTube TV last year had a feature where you can show all the games at the same time. And the NCAA broadcast kind of does it by default at times. But what do you have to go? CBS Sports Network, and then TNT, and then what is it, like True TV is one of the other stations. But this is a great time of year. My buddy runs a pool every year. He takes Thursday and Friday off of work, automatic vacation days.
Basketball flu.
Yeah, just so we can watch the games for both games all day. So love this time of year. March and October are the two best sports months.
On we go.
On we go. All right, let's go here to Tim. He says, memory lane question. Fondest memories of the Chargers' magical 1994 season, and can you believe it's been 30 years? And do you still have the compilation of the season's radio broadcast highlights that played on Extra 690? It's nowhere to be found on YouTube.
Well, I'll give you one item where you can find something that's kind of cool. And I had taken part in this because I helped NFL Films do it. And it totally got away from me. I've forgotten about it over the years. But if you YouTube Chargers Road to the Super Bowl, it will take you to the 30-minute documentary that we did about the Chargers' road to the Super Bowl and the AFC Championship game in Pittsburgh, in Blitzburg, against the Steelers. And it's right there on YouTube. It is really cool, and just stuff flashed back to me. In terms of memories, granted, the Super Bowl was a tough night at the office. Chargers got beat, 6 touchdown passes from 49ers quarterback Steve Young, Tom running one of the best offenses of all time, I think. But to me, my memory, and John and I have talked about this, and we'll do it again, the memory was the trip, the journey to go through the entire Chargers season, from getting hot early to the quarterback getting hurt at midseason, to having a quick start kind of evaporate because they got a bunch of losses, and then getting hot again and winning games in the toughest venues at all, especially at Arrowhead Stadium in Kansas City, winning that game in a near brawl, winning in Seattle on a 99-yard touchdown pass, beating the bleep out of the Raiders and Al Davis as they were throwing interceptions and the Chargers kept taking them back for touchdowns. Those, to me, the journey of that is what stands out more than just what happened on Super Bowl Sunday. And I felt bad that we got blown out, but the reality was that was a great, great team. But I flash back instead to all the big games and the events that happened. And it all started on opening night in Denver. We played a late afternoon game against Elway and always in 3 amigo wide receivers.
Oh yeah.
And they'd always go down the field and score in the final 2.5 minutes. And I thought they're going to do it again. And what made that thing eerie, it was a Sunday night game. It was hot and humid, thunder and lightning across the sky. And Elway throws an interception on the final possession. Junior Seau picks it off, and the Chargers win. And they never bleeping won ever in Denver, going back to even to the Dan Fouts days. So the journey to me is the most important thing.
Yeah, the journey was great, but how about the way San Diego came together?
Oh.
And it wasn't just the hardcore sports fans, but everyone was in, Charger mode. And given all the disappointment and, with the Holy Roller and we can make a list of all the Charger catastrophes. This was a magical run. I don't think we expected the Chargers to have that kind of a season.
Came together, once in a lifetime opportunity. I remember Stan Humphries saying, "Oh, we'll get back there." Well, you don't get back there.
No.
Never the same team. Things changed. Things changed radically for them, with players dying, with career-ending injuries, etc. So it's a different time. It's interesting you bring this up as we're into 2024. The saddest part to me, not that we lost to the 49ers, saddest part to me is like the community has forgotten. The media has paid no attention to that 1994 season. And as you say, 30th anniversary coming up. Newspaper writes everything about soccer and all this and that. Do something on the 30th anniversary of the Super Bowl. They didn't do anything on the 25th anniversary. Mm-hmm. I was the only one on TV. I was on CW6 at that point. I did a 25th anniversary thing about that season. That bothers me that, quote, our community doesn't remember the greatest moment in pro football history for our community.
It's a weird thing, because everyone's so down on Spanos for taking the Chargers away. But, sometimes you get a little bit of crap for continuing to report on the Chargers when so many people in San Diego have given up on them. I mean, have you ever wavered on that? Have you ever thought, well, maybe I want to pick a different team to be my primary?
No, because I cover everything in the NFL.
Okay.
I mean, all you need to do is just go to my website and read the best 15 minutes in sports. It's all written. My football section, it covers everything. Now, do I cover the Chargers? Yeah, because that's where the most names are recognizable. But I'm not going to blow them out just because they blew us out as a city supporting its team. But that's okay. You're getting all the information in the NFL. I just package it because I do pay attention to the Chargers, and I do find I get a lot of response from Charger fans, whether they like them or hate them. They respond.
They do respond. Okay, let's move on. Let's go to El Duque. He says, "Go Lobos!" And Mountain West Conference hopefully make some noise.
I don't know how many of them go beyond the first round. San Diego State is pretty good. New Mexico is unbelievably gifted on offense. But they're playing Clemson, and that's big boy basketball. You're not playing anybody in the Mountain West, so we'll just see which team shows up there. But this has been a fascinating college basketball season, the best season ever, and I've been here a long time covering this. And it's the transfer portal, which has broken a lot of teams up. Transfer portal made teams in this conference because there are players everywhere, and these coaches went and found guys, and they found guys who were bounce backs from Oklahoma State or TCU or Ohio State, like Jaden Ledee. And they found small college guys that played at 1AA schools or Division II schools and elevated them. They could play at this level. That whole Utah State team is so fascinating. But they got 24 wins, and they did not have one player coming back from last year.
Yeah.
And they rebuilt it with a whole bunch of guys that played at a lower level that showed they could play up here. So it's transfer portal has helped make this kind of a unique season.
Well, how many years have we gone here where the Mountain West, until last year when State went deep, we haven't had a Mountain West team really get beyond the Sweet 16, have we?
No, the Aztecs, I think, about the only one in modern day times.
So remember when Utah made the Final Four? Was that Mountain West or was that the WAC?
Oh, I think that was the WAC. You're talking about the Rick Majerus.
Yeah, Rick Majerus. Yeah.
I think that was the WAC days.
Yeah. So that was probably like a little over 20 years ago, right around the turn of the century. For me, I'm all in. Homer, Mountain West, hope those teams do well, especially since they felt they got snubbed in their seedings.
Yeah. And San Diego State has obviously been snubbed by virtue of what happened in the 30-2 season when COVID wiped out the schedule.
Oh, God.
That was terrible.
San Diego sports curse.
Carry on.
Okay, let's go here to John. He says, hey, just hope the Aztecs don't get fixated on what they will think is their second-round game against UConn and overlook UAB.
No, the Aztecs are so violent. They are so big and so physical. I don't think that's going to happen. We'll go back to what I talked about getting to the end of the Mountain West season, John. Plain and simple, San Diego State's guards have to show up and play. what's Superman when he doesn't do well? It's because of kryptonite. Is that what it?
Exactly. Yeah.
Jaden Ledee's kryptonite are his guards right now.
Yeah, they are.
Because you never know what you're getting from one night to the next. And those guards have to stroke it. They have to hit baskets. They're going to play defense, and no doubt there'll be some turnovers, but they got to put points on the board to take the workload off Jaden Ledee. He can't do it by himself.
No, he can't. And when they were double and triple teaming him even before he got the ball.
Now, I'd never seen that before. I'm glad you mentioned that. What a job that Patino did at New Mexico. When they posted Jaden Ledee down on the block, as the ball swung to that side, they doubled him before there was ever an entry pass.
Yeah.
And when he came out high post out by the foul line to try to run something, they doubled him before the ball ever got there. Most of the time they couldn't get it to him. That's why he went 10 minutes without a shot and 16 minutes without a basket. They could not get the ball into him.
They couldn't. Yeah, and there's going to be so much game film studied of him by these new teams in the tournament. But really, the second round game for the Aztecs, if they make it,
is Auburn.
Is going to be Auburn. Yeah, and that's Chad Baker-Mazara, former Aztec, coming back, and he's had a really nice season with Auburn. The UConn game would be the third game, but we're now really counting our chickens.
That's second weekend here.
Yeah. So I like the Aztecs. I'm not too worried about a 5-12 upset. I think those 5-12 upsets will be in other parts of the bracket.
But I'm worried about the backcourt for certain. Okay, thanks, John.
Okay, let's go here to Steve Zach Botsford. He says, so sad. I miss Hacksaw on 690. What great times. He's back, though. Only the best.
Well, thank you. You are right. We're all bleeping brilliant. Now, we had a great run. Loved it. Miss it. My friends, all the guys in radio I work with, we talk all the time. It was a great, great sports talk radio station. And it was unique and different. We were the first ones through the wall. Nobody had ever done it before. And sadly, corporate radio ruined it. I've got friends but they were all watching probably the O Canada line, as I say, with a whole bunch of guys in Winnipeg and Edmonton and Vancouver. They all lost their jobs in sports talk radio because corporate radio came in and wrecked those stations up there, like corporate radio did to the legendary 690, and then after that, the 1090. So it's a different landscape right now. But you're right. We had fun. We did pretty well when we weren't arguing with each other.
It's incredible how many people rediscover you in YouTube or in other parts of social media, and they're just so happy that they have found you again.
What we got to do, we have to figure a way for everybody that's our best friend here that's subscribed. We need to have a mass way for you to send out messages to everybody about what we're doing. I mean, the numbers that John and I have built on our podcast in about 15 months are just amazing. And what we're doing on all the social platforms, except the one that he likes, TikTok, is probably going to go away. But what we need to do is somebody come up with a game plan to help us spread the word on social media about what we're doing on social media. Just tell everybody what our mailing address is.
Well, it has to be fan supported, like, follow, share, and subscribe, spread the word. It's not like, we've got billboards of Hacksaw along Highway 5 promoting the podcast. It's got to come from the fans.
Okay, a couple more here before we put a lid on it.
All right, let's go to 4RXLA. The Bears practically gave Fields away to the Steelers.
Well, I went back. It's a good question, XRA. I went back and did a statistical analysis, a deep dive on Fields. 40 touchdowns, 46 turnovers in his career, 135 sacks in 3 years. As gifted and as athlete as he can be, strong arming it or busting the pocket and running for big games, the guy turns the ball over a lot. And the guy's ability to read defenses holds the ball too long. 135 sacks in 3 years. Wind up in a hospital playing like that. That's why they couldn't get anybody interested in him. It wasn't a contract thing. His dollars are only $3.2 million this season. So the fact he was a high first and they gave him away for a 6, and we'll see if Mike Tomlin and those people can fix him or grow him. It'll be interesting. He was also waylaid by the fact he's played on a bad Bears team. They've had very negligible offense last group of years. Haven't had great offenses hardly ever in Chicago. So we'll see if they can polish him and build him to be more productive, because the turnovers, 46 turnovers, 135 sacks in 3 years. Ooh.
Well, it was weird how the Bears kind of signaled to the whole world they were going to take Caleb Williams. So it makes it harder for them to trade Justin Fields. Everyone knows they want to dump him. So they use it as leverage in the deal.
And they drove the price down when they said that.
Exactly. Yeah, I was surprised they did that. Is there any chance the Bears take anyone other than Williams?
No.
Yeah, that's a stone cold.
The rumor mill now is that the top 3 picks in the draft are going to be quarterbacks. And the other rumor mill is there's of the top 6 picks, 4 of them are going to be quarterbacks.
4.
Well, J.J. McCarthy evidently has rocketed up.
Well, we were saying he might not even be a first-round pick.
Well, that was before we started to see what he did, and everybody around the country started to praise him. I'm still not convinced he's a top 5 pick in the draft. I mean, he was lucky he played at Ann Arbor, lucky he played for Harbaugh, lucky he had 2 power running backs, a massive offensive line, 2 good receivers, and a great defense. This guy is not a one-man show. This guy manages the games.
Who's the second quarterback to come off the board, do you think?
Well, that's a great question. Jaden Daniels has jumped a lot, has come up the board. So that I'll be fascinated to see if this is true. I mean, Jaden Daniels was a one-man gang at LSU. So at this point in time, is he the guy? I'm surprised that the Pac-12 guys haven't gotten more recognition. Bo Nix manages games, but very intellectual, doesn't make mistakes. And yet Bo Nix is still being portrayed as being a 13th pick. And Michael Penix, he plays with such passion, yet he's not there in the upper echelon. He's more of a back of the first round type guy. J.J. McCarthy's the one who's gotten all the fanfare. So again, that's why you go through pro days. That's why you look at 2 years worth of video of J.J. McCarthy at Michigan, and maybe they're seeing things that I don't see. But and maybe he turns out. I mean, we didn't know anything about Brock Purdy, except he played at Iowa State and he was productive, but that was Iowa State. And obviously Tom Brady, wow, Hall of Fame.
Yeah, wow, Hall of Fame, exactly.
That's why I study it.
Okay, let's keep going here. Let's go to Gary. He says, Joey Bosa, typical Chargers. He could sprain his ankle and be out eating Raisin Bran in the stands for half the season.
He's not the other Bosa, Nick Bosa, who's also had one major injury, but Joey's hurt all the time. Big issue. He got paid based on what he did the first group of years coming out. You get 15 quarterback sacks and you create havoc coming off the edge, you're going to get a payday. But then he got hurt and he's had all types of injuries. And it's not that he's out of shape. He just, guys roll up on him. He gets blindsided, gets, wrist and forearms and ankles and knees. And so he took a pay cut. I think he's overpaid. I think he plays hard, just can't stay on the field to the level you want your superstar to be.
Isn't it weird how we see so many really fragile players in sports? We're just talking about John Carlos Stanton, and now here's Joey Bosa. In your opinion, who is the most durable athlete that you have been so surprised by?
Well, you get quarterbacks who take unbelievable hits. Brady, I think, only had 2 major injuries in 23 years. Mm-hmm. And that's not a place, to be scared. You got to stand in there and make plays, and he made plays. I think Derrick Henry of Tennessee, for a heavy-duty guy, he gets a lot of carries every season. Derrick Henry's had a pretty good, with one exception, career with 1 major injury. So it's just such a tough physical game. And, and then you see guys who play in the offensive line. Cleveland Browns Hall of Fame left tackle Joe Thomas never missed a game. What did he play, 13 years or 17 years in the NFL? It's phenomenal. They flashed up his last game of the season. They flashed it up on TV. How many games he has started, never came off the field. A little bit of luck in that, in addition to great skill. So it's just the NFL's such a tough game.
Do you believe in the phrase injury prone? Are some people legitimately injury prone, or do they just have bad habits?
No, I think there are some guys who are just injury prone. Closer to home, there was a young kid, a cornerback from Stanford by the name of Jason Verrett. Played here, high number 1 pick. Played here 5 years, 6 years. Couldn't stay on the field. Knees, ankles, Achilles tendon, shoulders. Went to the 49ers. Gifted athlete, could run, tremendous skill, coverage, all that. Couldn't stay on the field there. He's finally got released last year by San Francisco, and everybody tried for years to keep him on the field. Couldn't happen. I bet he had 8 to 10 major injuries in his career. And that's guys getting hurt, guys trying to defend a guy on an out route. Jason Verrett plants his foot to go with him, blows his Achilles out. It's just the flukeness of the injuries.
Yeah, it's crazy how some of these guys are just they're in and they're out. I was thinking Phillip Rivers, I think, is a pretty durable quarterback.
17 years. I think he had the one injury, the knee injury, the year they thought they might go to the Super Bowl. He had the scope.
And he played on it with no ACL or something nuts.
LaDainian Tomlinson, tremendous career. You talk about heavy duty carries, contact. He stayed on the field forever.
I think Manny Machado is maybe in that group too. I mean, granted, he is coming off an injury right now, but he's had so few.
He's only had 2 injuries his whole career. One in Baltimore very early, and then what happened when he got hit by a pitch. And the game, he's so gifted. Game comes easy for him. I mean, it's really interesting to just watch Machado play the game. Some people say he looks lazy, doesn't work. No, game comes easy.
Yeah, it does.
Easy for him. Hey, listen, we hope you have enjoyed our Monday bonus podcast. We want you to tell all your friends. You need to come up with a game plan to help us promote what we're doing, because what we're doing here is pretty good. We're here Mondays at 1. We're here Thursdays at 1. And